I have 8 people right now. Thank you, Jason. If y'all could just double tap, share, like, tap, share. And if spiritual awakening, thank you, drummer, healing, self-love, self-development, personal development, self-discovery is not your thing, then this might not be for you. But if it is, please stay.
Yes.
Because tonight we're going to be talking about self-concept, self-love.
I am sharing now. I gotta share my story.
I have already shared, so
Did you share your story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's why I was gonna say just give you a minute to do that. And
Okay.
Thank you, Jason. I can't read your bio right now because I'm on live, but I will. Thank you, drummer. And if you can pick up the Daily Heart Me at the bottom and the pink present box, I think it's 2 cents, but it does help boost the live and helps it to get out into the algorithm. Fun fact, I didn't know that.
I just shared everything.
Okay, cool. All right, so do you want to get started?
We can start.
Okay.
I'm shaking off energy.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know why, but it doesn't throw me off, but it's just like, ugh.
Well, it wasn't even that right before I went live. My baby started having a nervous breakdown. You know how kids be.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen my son all day, and then of course he comes home 10 minutes before the live, so I'm like, well, I have to still get in my mindset. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think this has been such a beautiful thing though, because it has forced us to show up for ourselves in a way that like maybe we wouldn't have before. Mm-hmm. So
of course, yeah. Not even just for ourselves first, and then for others as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's literally why we're doing this, for ourselves and for others. And I think that there is a reason why, we all have different healing journeys, and there's layers and different waves, I guess, of awakenings, because in those waves you are able to, the first wave helps the second wave helps the third wave, and so on. So I think not putting anyone above anyone else, but we're able to help, so that it's not realistic for us to all be in the same space at the same time. So yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing. But this leads me to my intro, which I was going to start off with, and it is pouring in to other people and wondering why you feel empty at the end of the day. So I know I did that for many, many, many years, because really growing up with our parents and our parents growing up, self-love still is to some selfish. And they don't understand the concept, but in reality, self-love is the basis for every relationship.
Yes, it is. Yeah. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And so we can only meet people where we are. That's why you see people that you try to pour into people, and you try to love them to heal them. But if they can't see their own stuff, they will never see the love, because they don't have the capacity to even see where you're coming from, to even feel where you're coming from. They don't even know what love feels like. When you've been in so much trauma, you legitimately can run away from the thing that is good for you.
You cannot give what you don't have.
Yeah, you cannot.
And you can, I say this in every live, and I'll say it in every one after this. You cannot love someone past the capacity you love yourself. You cannot meet someone past the capacity you love yourself. So if you think of yourself as a container, if your container is in complete congruence with your heart, and you love yourself, but their container is not full of their love, their container is full of toxicity, of trauma, of whatever, the container, there is not space to hold or even to understand. It literally is like water and oil. and it just doesn't fit. So you cannot meet someone, you can't love someone more than you love yourself. And that's when dynamics get completely off and there's a lot of push and pull.
It is a lot of push and pull. And like when you the example you just gave about someone that they have a lot of gunk or a lot of trauma or whatever else. So when you're trying, like you said, their cup is overflowing, but it's overflowing with stuff that is toxic. And when they don't have space for your love, that's why sometimes when you have a big heart and you are your love itself, and you have that energy, and you try to pour that energy into someone, you still that girl, and you try to pour that energy into someone that don't have it, then therefore they legitimately just don't understand it. They can't even see legitimately. They will feel like you are too much and you're too big. And that's when people start to shrink. And if you don't love yourself, you will shrink. We all been there. I just shrunk before too. I don't shrink no more. Nah. And you will shrink to try to make yourself feel smaller, to be in places that you do not belong. If you have a big heart, big energy, you're doing your internal work, whatever, you need to be letting yourself just fly and be shown and be free. Because if you're not, that's legitimately draining you. You can't be with people that can't hold your container, can't hold your love.
And I was turning down my Alexa, that's why you didn't see me. So I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you and say it loud, and then I ended up doing it anyway, so I should have. So I apologize. But yes, that's one part of it. And then I feel like I do actually, hi Jay, I do focus on more than anything is someone can't see your ability to love through that, right? But then the other side is, if you don't make a radical decision to meet yourself, and not just meet yourself a little bit, but meet yourself fully, you cannot ask anyone else to either. And I think sometimes when you are such a lover, you want others to meet you in a full capacity as well. And before we have even met ourselves fully. And I didn't even know I hadn't met myself fully until I realized I hadn't met myself fully. That's the paradox of it all, is that you don't know what you don't know until you do. And then it's like, okay, you can't unknow it. Then you have to put the work in. But before you ask anyone else to show up for you, I was so bad at that. I was so bad, especially in my marriage. Like, if you did this, I would change. Mm-hmm. Or if you did this, I would feel this way and we would have a better marriage. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I wasn't giving myself what I was asking him to give me. And in that same respect is, if he were to give me what I was asking, would I be able to hold it, to understand it, to see it? The answer is no.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, at that stage you couldn't, and then you wouldn't even have well, the thing is the paradox of it is that you wouldn't even be able to draw that energy in because you're not vibrating at their frequency. So exactly. That's why when we see people that are like, oh man, every time I get in a relationship, I have the same. You're pretty much dating the same person in different bodies, and so but it's the same energy. That's because, and when you see yourself in a pattern in relationships, you get a relationship that start off good, then it might get whatever, toxic or whatever else. That's when it's time to sit and reflect. You can't just say it's just everybody you've been with. If you weren't vibrating at a frequency, you would have never attracted those. You would have saw the red flags right away. And that's all of us. We would have saw the red flags right away. But we were vibrating at frequency, so therefore we were a match at that time. Now you start doing your internal work and growing and all the things or whatever, then therefore you start to get out of alignment with that person. Then you might see, then you will start to see, and then, okay, like, we're not in alignment anymore. This isn't for me. I love myself. And that's why a lot of times when you see couples that if one is doing the internal work and one isn't, they end up breaking up. They end up breaking up. I don't care how long they've been together, whatever else, because two frequencies that are not in the same alignment cannot mix. They're not equally yoked.
So in that, so that's what happened to me essentially. And I chalk it up as nothing happens by coincidence. Everything is in divine order. I do believe, though, my husband at the time, my ex-husband, I do believe he was very gifted. We had a spiritual connection. We did. We grew a lot in our beginning stages of a spiritual awakening. It was like we kind of boomeranged off of each other for a long time, and it was good for several years. And then it reached this plateau where you had to go deeper. You had to face yourself more. And we became such toxic mirrors, because what happened was we started getting the light. We started seeing light. We started working with archangels. We started really like just enjoying spirituality, right? But then there's the flip side of it. You can't have you can't have light without the dark, right? And nothing's good or bad. Everything is just energy. But so the light, and now I'm seeing this in live time because I haven't really thought about it like this until now. It's like all that light, we've talked about it before, but I'm just now seeing it in my life, is like that light pulled up the dark to see, to face. And what better way than the person that you're with day in and day out? Sometimes it's your kids, sometimes it's your parents, sometimes it's your coworkers, but most of the time, if you're married or in a connection and live together, it's your partner, right? And I'll say demons, were fighting each other. Mm-hmm. And do I think we could have gotten through it? Of course. Mm-hmm. I think that. However, he wasn't willing to face his demons, which is why he was in addiction many years prior to meeting me. But at that point, it's like, what? I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you, like, what do people do? Because I can think on my top of my mind right now, at least 4 people that are dealing with this exact same scenario in different ways, but same energy, that they are struggling. They're not leaving, but they're complaining. They're not fixing themselves. They are wanting their husband to fix himself, or they're wanting together to fix the marriage. But at the same time, even though we live in such a programmed society that marriage is, yes, 2 do become one energetically, they should, but then when when you aren't in congruence and you aren't working together and the wheel starts to fall off, what do you do?
When you become unequally yoked, even the Bible talks about that. When you become unequally yoked, I mean, I always tell my clients when they start doing their internal work and they have the same kind of situations going on or whatever, I tell them, look, 1 or 2 things going to happen. I said, as you continue to do your work, you don't focus on that person, you cannot make them do their work. When you continue to do your work, I said 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Either it's going to push them. They're going to start wanting to go deeper and do the work, and they're going to see your healing, and it might irritate them. Y'all might have some little conflict or whatever, but they want to go deeper. They want to heal their relationship. They want the marriage. They want, the union, and they want to heal themselves. So they're going to get in alignment and y'all will stay together. But if they do not, and they don't want to do their work, and they're pushing against it or whatever, you're going to separate. You're going to separate, or you're going to be, but because you've done so much level of self-work, it's just no way you can stay there. There's no way you can truly stay there. You would be fine.
You could just be plateaued for a long time, which I was for a year or more. It's funny, you said if they want the marriage. And I think that that is one aspect. That's what they will project, that they don't want the marriage or whatever, or they do, right? But really what they're saying is, if they say they don't want the marriage, they're saying that they're not willing to meet that part of themselves. Mm-hmm. If they say they do want the marriage, then they're saying, I love myself enough to love you to meet myself there, right? Yeah. So it's like, it literally is never about the marriage. It's always about how deep they want to. And how many people say, whether they want to talk about healing or not, they say marriage is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's because being with another person, you take the good with the bad, and then you have to literally pivot with their demons and your own, or their darkness and your own. It is not an easy process, but it is worth it because of the self-worth and the self-development that comes from it. Iron Altar said, first step is zoom out. Problems will cause us to hyper-focus on them. Second is hold hands and pray and take it to God. Yes. And I agree. Zooming out and understanding that, like, it is so much bigger than just pointing the finger at anyone, really. And, yet problems do cause you to hyper focus on them when it's really should be about the solution and the inner work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you will, especially if you've been in so much chaos. That's survival mode. Focusing on the problem. But when you start to get out of survival mode, you will start to be in the energy of, what's the solution? Okay, I got the problem. The problem came. Okay, how am I going to solve this problem? Then you get into the problem solving mode, And so that is all a part of the work, and the inner work in general. Because when you're in survival mode, only thing you can think of is That. You can't think of nothing else. You can't even be in your creative energy. And that's what's going on completely in this world. People are overworked, overstressed, all the other things or whatever. They can't even be their creative self. We are, first of all, creators first. We came here to create. If you can't even use your imagination and your energy to create something, then you're completely disconnected from yourself. You're stressed out and
And that's literally 95% of America right now. Well, I would say even the world. And the quality of every relationship in your life, the quality of every relationship, again, not just romantic, every relationship across the board is a direct reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. So if you feel like everyone, my grandfather always used to say, if this person's pissing you off and that person's pissing you off and that person's pissing you off, who's the common denominator? It's not always that way. Sometimes you have to say, I'm allowing this, so then I need to step back. It could be different answers for everyone. Sometimes you're the common denominator, fix yourself. Other times it's like, I need to set boundaries because I'm allowing too much. And that's, for you to decide. But
it's still yourself though, because you're not setting boundaries. Right. That means you don't have a level of self-respect within yourself. So therefore it's still, everything comes back to you.
And it's not judgment. At that point in my journey, when he would say that, I would take it as judgment, because I was in a judgmental spot of myself. I was judging myself. I was judging other people. Now I'm able to say it's not judgment. It's literally energetic laws. It's literally laws.
It is universal laws.
Yeah. So self-love. Your gift to yourself is loving yourself. Self-love will give, oh my God, it's just so beautiful. Because I can tell you, I remember when I did not love myself compared to now that I do love myself. Like, it's shit that I will not take. It's stuff that I'm like, It's stuff that I'm just able to be more free. Like, self-love will change your whole life. If you work on yourself, self-mastery, everything else in your life just starts to change. The magnetism of yourself, what you call in, what you feel. Like, I go through life and I genuinely enjoy life, and I like being by myself. Like, I love my own energy. And have you noticed that since you love yourself, like, everybody else loves you more?
Yeah, of course.
And I know you, like, of course, yes, what we just said, it makes perfect sense. But even though I know the laws of the universe, even though I know this, thank you, sometimes I'm still like, cool. It's like a pat on the back. And I look at those things as like the self-love report card.
Yeah.
If people are having issues, now don't get me wrong, there are people that when you have self-love that you will trigger. But does that bother you? Does the trigger bother you? No. It don't bother me a single bit. I'm like, damn, I feel bad for them in a way that, like, I give them grace and I give them love, but they ain't coming into my space.
When you live in your authenticity, it does not matter. It does not matter if somebody say something about you, what they think, or whatever else. It does not matter. Okay. So, but this is what it is. People will look at you if you have this confidence about yourself. If they haven't met their self there yet, they'll say, oh, she's cocky. He's cocky, or whatever else. Now, it's a difference. You can tell the difference between cocky and confidence if you know how to read energy. Cocky is the energy that is voidless underneath there. It's nothing underneath there. It's just like they're putting on the shell, put on a show, and there's nothing up under there. But confidence, somebody just walks in a room with confidence, you just know it. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to do anything. They just walk. The energy is just oozing. And people that have met themselves there, they will see that person be like, ooh, she's beautiful. He's beautiful.
They recognize it.
People that haven't, who does she think she is? Who do they think they are?
Exactly. And I'm like, go ahead with your bad self.
I know,
go ahead. I love it.
Yeah, I love it, baby. I love it.
Yes. Because real recognizes real, right? And one thing that I had asked, like, it was a prompt or whatever, but I asked myself this at one time, like, what if the person you've been waiting for has been waiting on you to love yourself first? So if you are someone who wants to fix your marriage, if you're someone who is looking for a divine love or a love partner, whatever relationship, it's like, what if that person is not becoming the person that you need? Because it's your job to become the person you need first. And then the mirror, the energetic match comes in. And we already kind of surpassed it, but the mirror's in the middle. You're here, I think. Yeah, your inner world is here. The mirror is always pushed out, and whoever is standing in front of that mirror is just a reflection of your inner world. So if you're not getting the love you desire, it's because it's not able to come through the container or the lens that you are mirroring, right?
Yeah. We don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are. So if you have a negative perspective, like I see when people talk, like I see sometimes videos or whatever, and they'll talk about women or talk about all this stuff or whatever. Now I'm not gonna say I haven't had any instances where I was in a video and this girl was talking about how women are just so catty, she don't trust any women, all that stuff. Now, I'm not gonna say I haven't had any instances with women where stuff has been whatever, But with that being said, my majority of my interactions are with women that know their power, that know their worth. So I don't,
And it's
and the
beautiful.
ones that don't, I don't let them bother me. They'll figure it out.
Yep. I agree.
I
It doesn't enter my reality. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Mel said that's so deep and so true. The universe is waiting for you to love you so it can place you together. Right. And when we're constantly, waiting, seeking, running, chasing something, the work is all here. It literally is. And I see so many people, especially like on Facebook in my community, because, Facebook's more for people or whatever, go from relationship to relationship. And I was guilty of it in my past. And it's like, you can literally see, like you said, it's the same energy in different people. So until you heal that core, and really it comes down to self-concept. I had this visual, and I just like visuals, but like your self-concept's in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. If you are the center, right, it's your beliefs, your self-concept, your inner world, how you talk to yourself. I realized too, I was attracting people that were talking to me the same way I would talk to myself in my head, but I didn't want them to know that, right? Yeah. Like talking to me crazy and sideways, like they ain't got no sense, but yet I was talking to myself that way in maybe different wording, but same energy. Disrespectful, really. Yeah. But if you look at us as like the stone that ripples, right? You're the stone dropped in the water. You have your self-talk is one ripple. Then how you show up to the world is another ripple. What you attract, what you allow, what you think you deserve is another ripple. And then after that, it's your reality, your abundance, and your relationship. It all comes down to everything is originating from the center stone and the center point. So change the center energy, the foundation, and then change every ripple and what it is after that. And I think like that is literally the power that we have for our life.
It is. It is power. We're creators. That's our power. We're creators. We come here to create. And when we realize that it's our power, our energy, how we show up in the world, because when you have a level, you've done a level of work within yourself, you will start to seeing the programs, the dogmas, and all this stuff, and you start pulling them and lifting them up and getting them outside of you or whatever. And like I tell you, your relationship with yourself, with love within yourself, is going to reflect in your relationship with your family, your partner, your money, all kind of stuff. It's going to reflect with more than just people. It's going to be stuff around you. So a lot of people don't have a money problem. They have a scarcity problem. They have a wounds that they haven't looked at problem. They have I know I was looking at some deep wounds the other day or whatever, and I'm looking like, this is a deep wounded wound or whatever, and it was ancestral, And so a lot of time, like I tell people, when you started doing your internal work or whatever, what's going to happen? You're going to first start doing your internal work, started healing stuff within you, what happened to you since you've been here. Then when you start to get deeper, your ancestors are going to start giving you work. They're going to start giving you stuff for your lineage for you to heal. Because what you're doing is when you heal yourself, you're not only healing yourself, you're healing generations that come after you and generations that came before you. And that is why it's so important to do this work, because not even just that, we're also legitimately helping to heal the collective when we do our own individual work.
Everything is one.
Yeah.
Literally, what you just said,
Yeah.
we heal ourselves, we heal the collective, we heal a bigger collective, we heal a big, that's literally, everything is a ripple into the collective consciousness. The work that we do on ourselves, and that's why being selfish isn't selfish. Being self-loving is not selfish, because at the end of the day, when you love yourself, you are loving thy neighbor, the brother, the sister, the oneness of everything. When you focus on yourself, you allow other people to focus on the good in you and then see the good in themselves, because everything's a mirror. And Esther Hicks, Abraham, whatever. I remembered this while you were talking. Your dominant vibration is your point of attraction. Always. Your dominant vibration is your point of attraction. So that's why you can't attract abundance. That's why yo ass is still pinching pennies, and now they're taking the pennies. That's a whole nother topic. But seriously, so it's like your dominant vibration is your point of attraction. And think of it as a magnet. If that dominant vibration is only magnetizing things that match it, get it again.
You can't attract what you're not in alignment with. Now, I will say this too. Some people you will see don't have a problem with attracting things, but they have a problem with holding it. So you have to look at all this when you're doing your internal work. You
Guilty.
attract stuff, but sometimes you can't hold it. And then you have to see where those energetic leakages in, where they're coming from. And a lot of times, those are something deep in your line. That's just deep. You've been picking away at it for years. Trust me. I know I'm still doing work around you.
Girl, I just got chills because that is me right now. I'm realizing everything I want is right there. I get it. It slips right away. Why? Because there's a block in my subconscious that tells me something. Even like with me today talking to you, thinking, oh, I'm waiting for her response. I'm too healed for that shit. Why am I still thinking that? It's because you've never given me a reason to question how you're going to respond. But it's this subconscious block, this little girl that thinks that I'm going to do something wrong or say something wrong or not do something up to par, that it becomes like, okay, did you heal this part? And you keep, breaking it down and realizing, it is a lot deeper.
Girl, when I tell you those, but that's where the work is. And every time I go into something that I see that's a programming, that is trauma or whatever else, it's so beautiful. The journey is so beautiful. Like you're gonna, no, wait, baby, not right now. No, don't get that candy right now. When I tell you my son loves candy,
I do too. I can't blame him.
I do too. But yes, what was I saying?
The subconscious.
Okay, so yeah. So when you realize, dang.
Well, I can say something if you want.
Yeah, say something.
Okay.
Let me come back.
So Joe Dispenza, I know we love him. I love my boy Joe. Dr. Joe. Joe Dispenza's research literally shows that the brain cannot distinguish between what is real and what is not. Hold on, I have it. Between a real event and one that is vividly imagined with emotion, right? Which is the point of manifestation. So when you start embodying what you want to heal, and that's the thing, that's where I needed to check myself today. And today has been such a day of discovery for me, and I took today to dig my heels in the sand, and it started with a few people reaching out, and then it continued with you and I, and that little self-lack part, right, of me. And that's when I started listening to Joe Dispenza a little bit and realized, just almost relearning some things again, because sometimes you hear something a year ago, then you'll hear it next year, and it sounds and feels and lands different, or lands deeper. But I understood that I was not embodying the energy that I wanted to heal. I was embodying the little girl that was nervous, right? So once you gave me the go ahead, everything was fine, I was able to check myself and rise above it. So practicing feeling I'm safe. And if she doesn't like what I just said, it's okay. What's the worst thing that could, going down that rabbit hole of just providing that safety, that container of if you fucked up, it's okay. If you said something wrong or if she didn't like, you learn everything's an opportunity. But to get to that mindset is sometimes so hard because it lives in your body.
It is ingrained. And when I say that, it is ingrained, and especially it's ingrained in society. It's ingrained in men and women, but it's definitely ingrained in women. And so, like, we have to be perfect. We have to do this from a young age. We're taught we can't do this. Don't wear your clothes a certain kind of way. Don't do this. Don't look all this stuff. We could never just be us. Like, I remember when I was younger, and I used to always just hold my gut in all the time, or whatever. Just walk like that. And I'm still transmuting that energy. Sometimes I catch myself holding my breath, and I'm like, you have to be conscious. You have to legitimately be conscious of everything you do, your body, because you will go to default programmings when you're stressed out or something is going on or whatever. And I have to legitimately look, breathe, Gabrielle. What are you holding anything in for? You have to tell yourself you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. It's all because, baby, when I say your body holds the memory, like mindset work is one thing, but this stuff lives in your tissue, your fascia. This stuff lives in here, and you have to legitimately work it out.
Your DNA,
your DNA, yes. You have to shake it out. You have to work it out. You have to cry it out. You have to do all the things to live it out.
Yes. And what you just said too, telling yourself, I say to myself a lot, you are enough.
Yeah.
You are enough. You are safe, and you are enough. And it could be the simplest of things. And you know what else also, and it's just a programming that my parents had too, but it's like, if I were to say, that makes me feel a certain way, oh, get over it, it's fine, or whatever. And it's like, even if the simplest teeny thing about just waiting for a response from my friend, right? I am enough. It seems maybe too big for that situation, but I don't ever let myself talk myself out of that anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. Why not tell yourself that? Yeah. Why? If it feels like it's needed and it's helpful, why not? I think so many times we can be, oh, it's not that serious. Why not?
No, it is that serious. No, it is. Gina said, say I am enough X. Yes, you have to say I am enough. You have to tell yourself I am, and it is that serious. When you start doing your internal work, you will realize, when you take the lens off, you can't unsee stuff. Legitimately, I be walking around every day just and just wowed about stuff that I'm rediscovering about myself. Because the more that you're becoming the highest version of yourself, you're starting discovering parts of yourself that you didn't even know that was there, that was pushed up under the pain and whatever else. And that's the beautiful thing about doing internal work. After you sobbed and released and all this stuff, you can now get a chance to claim who you are. That's where your authenticity comes in it. That's where your true self comes in it, before the mirrors where people told you how to be, how to show up and all this stuff. So it's a beautiful journey. I don't want people, because we talk about this journey a lot and we talk about the ups and downs and all that stuff, but I know a lot of people are afraid because they're afraid to face their stuff. I remember when I first got on my journey and Spirit told me, I hear it plain as day, I can never forget it, was like, you gotta face your own shit. And a lot of people are afraid to face their own stuff. They're afraid to look at themselves and judge themselves because you do not judge yourself. That's thing 101. You don't judge yourself. When you're doing your internal work, it's no judgment. You see
others. Or compare.
No, you cannot. You see what you do, and you hold yourself accountable, but accountability is not equals judgment. That's what we have to get that. We have to break that. That does not exist. That's not true. Hi, how you doing? Well, thank you.
Yeah. That is, it's hard though when we live in a society that we've always been judged, or we've always judged, or we've always compared. Mm-hmm. Comparison is still a judgment. Yeah.
Comparison is a thief of joy.
100%. Yes. And I will say too, sometimes it's uncomfortable to tell yourself you are enough. It was so uncomfortable to tell myself that. Yeah. So I would ask myself, how would I feel if I believed I was enough? Mm-hmm. And I think changing that shift, almost like holding space to create that I am enough affirmative statement, or that very when you declare it, because you do have to feel it. You can't just say it. And sometimes you can say it enough to then eventually feel it. But sometimes there's a gap in between what you're saying and what you really believe deep down. So I think sometimes leaning in, and this might not work for everyone, but for me it did, leaning in and saying, how would I feel if I already knew my worth, and then, or if I already knew I was enough, or if I was living the ultimate, if I was living in the highest version of myself, and then organically, I am enough. Yeah. I am enough. I deserve this. This is for me. So I think those who are having problems with that connection of like affirmations aren't working. It's because you're not believing them in your subconscious mind.
What you were doing, you were building a bridge. Sometimes you have to take the baby steps before you get there, because if you're going to say, I'm wealthy, I'm a billionaire, and you got $0 in the bank account, your subconscious mind will be like, bitch, you broke. Hold on.
What are you talking about?
You broke. But you have to start saying, why am I so wealthy? Why am I so abundant? And then you will start to seeing all the little ways that first of all, you're wealthy, you got food in your refrigerator. First of all, you're wealthy, you got a roof over your head. Start to be looking at the things that you're grateful for, that you're wealthy. First of all, you're wealthy, you got a job to go to, or you work for yourself, or start to look, and you have to legitimately switch that negative frame of thought and start to looking at the positive in your life. Look at, oh, my job. I don't care if you're homeless. Let me tell you how magical this is. Me and my boyfriend, we was driving somewhere last weekend, and I saw a homeless guy on the side of the road or whatever. And it was so beautiful. When I say I saw him twice. The first time I saw him, he was in the road, and he was like, he had his little stuff beside him, and he was sitting there meditating. And then he was meditating, he had a smile on his face. And then when we came back down the road or whatever, he was walking with his bags or whatever, and then he was smiling, he was just doing this to everybody passing by. He was legitimately shooting out love to everybody. I said, oh my God. I said, you can legitimately have nothing on paper or whatever it looks like or whatever, and be happy. This man had so much joy. I could see his light just beaming.
That's beautiful.
It was so beautiful. I was like, oh my God.
I can feel the energy from what you were saying. I have chills everywhere. That's so beautiful. I love that.
What we speak manifest. Yes, we do create what we speak and what we feel and what we think. Yeah.
100%. Sean said amen to that. And Insight said, decide to feeling it, then movement, thoughts become things. Yes, 100%. So when you said, God, not you, it wasn't show me, it was, I am not, you didn't say I am. What was the thing that you were saying when you were like, I am abundant or I am rich or whatever? But it was
instead of saying I am rich, I am abundant, and you don't really feel, started asking whatever. Why am I so wealthy?
Why am I? Okay.
Started asking so you can start, because what you're going to do, you're going to start turning on that system that's going to start looking for evidence in your reality. And just like when you're going to get a new car or whatever, and you see this white, whatever, van or Jeep or whatever, all of a sudden you start to see it everywhere. You legitimately turned on that automatically, and now you see them everywhere. Now all of a sudden you go get one. That's what's happening. So you're going to start looking, you're going to turn your mind on and start looking for the abundance all around you.
So instead of saying what you said, I said, God, show me, universe, show me how abundant I am. Show me how loved I am. Show me whatever. Either way, same energy. But the second part to that, and this to me is crucial, are you present enough to see it? Because so many times we're looking in the back, we're looking in the front. Are you present enough to see it? And you kept saying, be aware, self-aware, feel into your breath, see what the patterns. Are you present enough to see the patterns? Are you present enough to know that you're holding your breath and you're not allowing yourself to flow? Most people aren't present. They hold that tension and stress in their body and they keep trucking along and wonder why the fuck they can't even stand up at the end of the day. Are you present? Do you give yourself presence?
Yeah.
That's the biggest key, because God and universe can show you all day long. Are you present to receive?
Being present is your present.
Yes.
It's legitimately your present, because when you're present in your reality and what's going on, I don't care if it's good or bad, you can still see the beauty in everything that's going on. You can be in hell. And I got to tell people, when my brother, when he was in jail or whatever, and he had his awakening in jail. And so he legitimately, like I say, that's one of the most hellish places you can be at, And he legitimately flipped the script and started seeing everything in this beautiful light. Everything is from our perspective. I don't care. Everything is from our perspective. It's what we perceive, because you can legitimately be a billionaire. This is why you see people that are super wealthy and that are devoid inside. They have no light, no nothing. It's just about, and you see, this is where greed comes from right here, because all of a sudden they're studying, trying to feed this energy of wanting something, but money is not doing it. They got to have the next, all this money, but it's not doing it. It's a void. They're devoid inside. And so that's why we see this in this environment right now. When people start doing their internal work, they will see, okay, because when you love yourself, you love other people. You care about other people. That is the ebb and flow of this reality. And so self-love is really what we have an issue with in this society. If everybody loved themselves, truly loved themselves, that would be the paradigm. You wouldn't have greed.
And the concept we have of ourselves.
Yeah. You wouldn't have greed or any of the other things, because when you love thyself, you love your neighbor, because you are me. I am you.
And when you do feel a void, right? When you try to do this and that and this and that, and then there seems to be, again, like we said, the different face, different name, but same thing being activated. Boom, same thing being activated. Being present, seeing the pattern. It's not God, universe, anything. It's not bad luck. Nothing happens by bad luck. It's literally that stone and the ripple. Change the foundation, change the energy of, what did I say? Change the center energy, you change every ripple after that. So the void is within. And I know we keep saying kind of the same thing in different way, but I know it's going to land for people different, and you can never hear it enough, I think.
No,
but it's like,
it's reprogramming.
Yes, the universe, God is loving you enough through you. We're all one, to keep showing you different things until you get it, until you're present enough to see it, until you're tired enough to face it, right? Because I'm a hard head sometimes. I ain't gonna lie.
Sometimes you gotta get tired of your own shit. I was laughing at myself in the kitchen the other day. I said, man, I'm like a hard-headed little child sometimes. I be knowing what the F to do, and then you just study me. I'm like,
because what if we could do it this way and it worked? Like, what if? I don't know. It never does.
It's the journey, though. It's the journey. Even when you have those, be like, it's been me all the time. Nobody is holding you back. It's only you holding you back. That's it. Nobody's holding you back. And like, especially when I hear people saying whatever, and I've never let that bother me. Like people, like in the industry that I work in or whatever. Of course, I'm a spiritual mentor, but I also make content for brands. And so I sometimes hear other like content creators or whatever, or UGC creators, especially that are women of color, and they say, it's harder to get gigs and this and all this stuff. That has never mattered to me. First of all, I am very much aware that people that are not my color do get paid under in some rates or whatever. But you know what? That has never entered my reality. And you know why? Because I know my worth and I know my value. And when I put that price out there, the brands that want to work with me, they pay that price.
And I don't see color. So you we mirror each other to where I don't ever look at us as different.
Yeah.
In that aspect.
I don't.
So the fact that they are saying they're different is the energy that they're always coming with, is that we're different, whatever, even if you're anything, not just color. It could be your style. It could be your weight. It could be whatever it is, your whatever. If you put that out there, the universe is going to give it to you, period.
It's going to give it to you, yeah.
We are the creator, 100%.
Yeah.
If you don't see it, you can't see it.
You can't see it, yeah. Now, it's not saying stuff isn't going to happen to you. That's a part of life, but you don't focus on that. You don't focus on, that's why I try to get people to say, like, well, this is that. Okay, you be aware of what's going on, but it didn't have to be in your life. Like, I'm aware that stuff is going on, but it's not in my life.
Insight just said, I see all color. And I'm like, that's beautiful. I love that. That's good. Because that's actually the most beautiful perspective is to see all color through everything and realize everyone is everything. And it's us pushed out, which is the most ironic thing when people say they see something negative. It's such a hard thing to hear when you realize that you're the one that is embodying that or subconsciously having it. And also, you don't ever break a pattern by avoiding it. You must understand it and face it to break it.
Yeah. You cannot run away from it. Every time you're running, baby, it's still running right here, right behind you. And those patterns show up and you wonder why you're irritated, why you lash out, whatever things or whatever, because These things don't want to be inside of you. Like, just like you don't want them, those energies do not want to stay inside of you. Once you started doing your internal work, they will be more than happy to show you what you need to look at so you can get it out of you. Like, legitimately, when you started doing your work, your subconscious started saying, it's safe over here now. It's safe for me to show him that this is what needs to be looked at for them to get to the next level. It's safe. But when your subconscious is not safe with you, it's not going to show you, and you're going to wonder why your emotions is controlling your life and you're not controlling. That's where emotional intelligence comes in. It's a skill. You have to learn emotional intelligence. And it's an ever evolving, always doing it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always sharpen that part of yourself too. It's not like it's ever done. And again, it's not like this is a beautiful journey of self, but I think that people, it's easy to glorify the easy parts, but don't think that the hard parts aren't beautiful too. Like the work and the depth that comes, like going into the depth of yourself, you're able to, there's such a sense of self, understanding yourself deeper. Like this is something that a lot of people aren't doing, but they're being called to do. It is a collective shift that you're being called to do. So it's like at some point we're talking about this and a lot of people in the chat are getting it, right? But at some point you're going to get it even more and realize like, dang, okay, I get exactly what they were saying, because it is easy to glorify healing or to glorify the spiritual awakening. But I think a lot of the things that we're saying will come back and be like, dang, this is it. It's a lot of work, but it is so worth it when everything in you changes. It's like, I'm so much more peaceful. I'm literally peaceful. I'm happier. I'm more alive. I love more. Like it's, Mel said, great live, very interesting. Looking forward to joining you again. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It is. I mean, when I tell you, legitimately, I catch myself being my inner child, which she couldn't be when she was younger. And it's just so beautiful. Like, of course, the hard parts are hard. We're not going to sit up here and say it's all a walk in the park, because it's not. I'm telling you, I can give you some of them stories, But what I'm telling you is and giving you hope to let you know what's on the other side. And this is the ever evolving journey, because you're going to go, like I tell people, it's like an EKG or like a wave. You're going to go up and down. This is the part of the journey, like a roller coaster. And then we're supposed to, because if we weren't, we would flatline. This is what living life is about.
The ups and the downs.
And legitimately, you will realize, even though we don't like the downs, you will realize in the downs, when you understand how to alchemize that energy and turn that pain into purpose, that is ammunition, that is fuel for you to get to your next level. That's why they always say it's darkest before the dawn.
Yeah. And then it gets dark again.
Yeah.
And then it'll get light again. And that's the up and down. Even the sun and the moon. There are different waves. You will feel high on life, and then there are times that you feel like I need to go in the darkness and be a hermit, and those are the ebbs and flows. Honor that part of yourself, whatever space you're in. I think the biggest thing too, we push when we don't feel like meeting people. We push when we don't feel good. Like even just our energy is off. We push. You're not honoring yourself. That is a reflection of how your concept of self. Are you on your own pedestal? Because if not, if you're the peasant, then who are you putting on a pedestal? Because they're the ones that are benefiting from it. You're not. You're depleting.
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
And when you try, it drains your life force, legitimately.
I think we shrink to be chosen. We shrink to be accepted. We shrink to be to avoid confrontation. And really, in reality, who is that hurting? Because it ain't hurting the other person.
But think about it. It hurts you because if you don't say something because somebody did something, you're mad inside. Now all of a sudden,
Resentment.
the resentment. Now all of a sudden, that right there is what I call burning yourself up. You're legitimately taking that anger, that rage, when you could have just set a boundary to begin with. Okay, you did set a boundary. Now you need to course correct that. But then if you don't, then you legitimately just letting all that fester. Then all of a sudden, when something else happens, you snap. You just snap. You snap because it's been boiling up inside of you. You have not let that energy land anywhere. It's just boiling up inside of you. You're legitimately burning yourself, and you wondering why you're stressed and why you're sick and everything else. Legitimately, 95% of illnesses are emotional based. So,
and look, you cannot be magnetic and desperate. You cannot be magnetic and depleted at the same time. It don't work. So you either gonna pick one or the other. But if you feel depleted, or if you feel like you're chasing or running after things or seeking validation, then you're not magnetic. That's like the baseline of it all. Yeah. You ain't gonna be your highest self if you're depleted or seeking outside of yourself. The frequency, it doesn't align.
Hey, Seven.
Oh, hi, Seven.
We haven't seen you in a while.
And also knowing what is meant for you will always be for you. So for example, like we had to pause the lives, right? It was something that you did. I had already felt, okay, maybe we should, but I was like, no, just go, because I want to show up, right? Mm-hmm. You had to lead us into that.
Yeah.
If it was for us, it was still going to be there. And it was. Yeah. You cannot, you can't force something, but you also can't deny your blessings either when you allow yourself to feel into whatever it is, when you honor that part of yourself, and then you do it with no attachment to what the outcome will be. You remain detached and say, this is what I have to do for me. If it's still there, it was always yours, right? Yeah.
And if it comes back to you, yeah, it's always yours, or something better will come. Never be afraid of losing anything, because something better will come. Never be afraid of losing anything.
If not this, then better.
Yes. If not this, then better, baby. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Amen. I love that affirmation. That is so true. And I did, even when I was dating, because I haven't dated in years now, but when I was dating, I would feel a sense of rejection like many, many times over and over again. And I'm like, it's okay. If not this, then better. Yeah. And every time it was better. Yeah. Every time. Yeah. So now I'm like, I'm so excited because I don't even know what's happening. But so it's so true, even with jobs, when you're not, but understanding, always showing up as your best self too. So say you're not getting a job that pays your ideal amount. If not this, then better. Yes. The other side to that is always showing up with integrity, with intention, and being your best, without depleting, but still showing up as if you were making the amount of money that you feel you deserve, right? Because you can't have the mindset of, oh, I'm not going to do it, and then expect high-end pay, right? Like, always be your best self.
I want to say, I'm glad you brought that up. Some people, I want to say this because I know a lot of people are in this space or whatever, especially with the market and stuff like that. Some people are say looking for jobs, looking for gigs and all that stuff, whatever. And they're not finding them. I want you to do your internal work and look at yourself. And you probably already know what the answer is. Sometimes the reason why you're not finding a job is because you're not meant to work for somebody else. You're meant to work for yourself. Spirit is pushing you to work for yourself, and you're wondering why, because when you work in these jobs, they're depleting you. They're not in alignment with you. They're not in alignment with your energy and all the rest of the stuff. And then you're complaining about it, and you're sick and all this stuff. So Spirit is telling you, you've got that inclination that you need to be doing this for yourself. Now, I'm not saying entrepreneurship is going to be easy. It's not, because I'm telling you, some nights you're going to be up late. But what I'm saying is, it's so worth it. You legitimately get a chance to make your own schedule, do your own stuff, and build the life that you want to build on your terms. So if Spirit is pushing you and you just study trying to find a job and it's not working, listen, follow your inner guidance. Spirit is guiding you to do what you need to do for yourself, because you just don't know. You could have a business that's going to change the paradigm. We all of us here in this new earth, it's the next wave is being born now. You know that, right? So you might have a play you need to be put in there. So you need to be doing your work.
And I'm taking it back to our subconscious. By the time we're 7 years old, and this is where, if you are called to be an entrepreneur, or you're called to do something different, but you're feeling this disconnect, the disconnect 9 times out of 10, correct me if you think I'm wrong, or elaborate on it, By the time you're 7 years old, 95% of your subconscious mind has already been set and programmed, and it's locked in. You can't do a thing about it. It's not done by you. It is done by programs. It's done by conditionings. Although we picked it from our soul, we picked it from our soul contract. We know that these were the lessons that we came here to learn on a soul level, and that we're going to uncover all of these things to eventually remember. And it's the big thing. When you're being called to do something different, entrepreneurial path, or a different job, completely different career, whatever it is, even if you don't even know what it is, but you know it ain't what you're doing, honor that and know you're only fighting with the subconscious programming that's telling you something. It's telling you a story that has had murky paintbrushes used on the canvas that it painted, and it's time to create a new canvas. If we can understand that it's literally us battling our mind, and Insight had said this earlier, it's that mind-heart coherence. If we understand that the coherence just needs to happen and there's a gap there, like what happened to us before we were 7, okay, we picked it. Now we need to make conscious choices to run a new program.
Yeah, you got to plug in a new program. You're going to have to look at yourself. That's why I tell people entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey. Entrepreneurship is a journey within yourself. You legitimately have to face your shadows, your wounds to get to your next level. You're making the money. You're setting the prices. You legitimately, every time I went up on my rates or whatever, it was a level of self-work I had to do within myself to go up on my rates and feel into the energy. I feel like I'm worthy of that value.
To believe you deserve it.
Because I noticed that when I first became an entrepreneur, and when I first set my price and I wasn't feeling it yet, I would get no clients at that price. It wasn't until I embodied that price and knew my value, and people have no problem paying.
Because you aligned with that frequency.
Yeah.
What time do you want to end this, just so I know?
We get ready for about 5 more minutes.
Okay, 5, cool. And also awareness, fill the gap. Yeah. Awareness changes everything. Because when you bring things to your awareness, and when you know now, okay, now anyone who has heard this, or anyone who, when we repost this on YT, and when we repost this on our TT, now you understand that the awareness is from a program, and you can choose to respond as the grown-up. You can choose to respond as the entrepreneur. You can choose to respond as the worthy, deserving woman that you are, right? Or whatever, the healed person you're becoming, instead of the program. And to think about it, it's only 7 years. Yeah. We can surpass that in 7 months if we diligently work on it.
Yeah. It's a lot of uprooting, but it's so worth it. And you will discover those shadows have gifts there, and you will discover your gifts in your shadows. So when you're afraid to face your shadows, you're afraid to see what's truly up under there. And what you gonna say?
Are your shadows your patterns?
Your shadows are your patterns in a way. They are.
I would think so too. I never have thought of that before until now.
They are.
Because I'm saying patterns, you're saying shadows, but when you're saying shadows, I'm literally, it's equaling the same thing. When you break your pattern, when you look at your shadow, you're actually breaking forward and backwards through both sets of lineage, for the lineage to come and for the lineage that's holding on to trauma or the patterns, right? Or the shadow. Because essentially, I know the shadow exists always, right? So the shadow part holds on to the patterns, but then when we drop the patterns, the shadow's still there.
The shadow integrates. The shadow.
I was just about to say we integrate
with your shadow, and that's when
we give it a new name.
We give it a new name.
New program.
A new program.
Because essentially, the shadow, it's not bad. It's just the darkness. It's the seductive. It's the power. It's the force. It's the drive. Right. It's almost the masculine energy if you think of it that way. I guess
it's the Kali.
It's a what?
It's the Kali, the goddess. That's destruction and
okay.
It's that dark force. It's that primitive rage, like is that primitive energy. And so you
primitive is what I was thinking, masculine, but yes, we can call it dark feminine, whatever, it doesn't matter that. But yes, it's that that energy where you don't see it, but you feel it, and it shows up in every fucking thing. And you don't know why until you begin to look at it.
Yeah, until you look at it. You look at it, you sit with it, you feel it. You gotta feel it. You cannot run away from your emotions. That is not a thing. We do not spiritual bypass. Your emotions are your gift. From the highs of the highs you feel to the lowest of the lowest that you feel.
And we feel it anyway. We feel it anyway.
We feel it anyway. Like I legitimately remember, and I gotta be mindful of what I say, when I used to be on depression, medicine. When I used to be on that, and one of them had me so disconnected that I didn't feel any emotions. You could have told me somebody that I knew was, and I didn't care. I just did not care. Like I was,
or it was just numb.
It was numb. That's what I'm saying. It was numb. And I go back and remember that, and I'm like, oh my God, what is it that was cruel to live a life without emotions. Like emotions are beautiful. The highs, the lows, the anger, the happiness, everything, all of them are beautiful. Now, sometimes when you're mad, you might not see it beautiful right then and there until you calm down and get out of your reptilian brain and calm back down and be like, you know what? That anger served a purpose.
And most of the time it just shows you where you either needed to heal, where you honored yourself, where emotions are never bad. It's just really perception.
It's perception. Everything's perception.
And I'm not saying that there aren't things that you could do different, obviously, but that's a part of the journey and a part of growth. But yeah.
It's definitely a journey, but it's so worth it. And we all have to do this together because we're all here and we're all feeling the energies. So we all need to be carrying our own weight.
Yeah, and if anybody ever has any questions, or just if you really like something from the live that you want to highlight or let us know and say, I really enjoyed this, could you elaborate on this? Please let us know. We will. 100%. And we are putting the videos from each live on YT, which is Founders of the New Earth. And also, any new, any conscious content creators, conscious business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are deep in their awakening and their healing and are actually helping others in their journey. If you or someone that may be interested in joining us on a live 1 week, let us know. Next week we actually do have a guest coming on, and I'm excited about that. So
I'm excited too. Yes, so you can always go to the Ink.io, go to the tube, and see last week's episode. And every week, each week episode will be on there. And so it'll be set up.
Can we put the link in our videos?
And what videos?
Like when we go to repost, like do it on TikTok or whatever. I wonder.
Think so I have to do it in my IO. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, either way, if you can't find it, DM me and I'll get you.
Yeah, it's in my IO.
Okay, I need to put it in mine then. Yeah.
Well, love you guys. Make sure you're doing your internal work. If you have any questions, let us know. Make sure you're loving yourself. Make sure you are showing up to the fullest of your capacity, and know that we all got this and we're in this together.
Yes, amen. All right, bye. Love y'all.